even if you were to think of like starting to play Ultimate Frisbee, you have to outweigh the pros and the cons.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey, what's up? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Hey Mark, the podcast where I'm Mark, get to have open and authentic conversations about things like mental health and self-development. The reason that I started this podcast is to try and alleviate some of the suffering that's happening out there in silence. The people that are out there kind of feeling like they're alone with their struggles. They're the only ones going through these things. Maybe they don't know who to talk to, how to start the conversation, or even what words to use to describe what they are going through. And so that is the reason I started this podcast because, yeah, like I said, I want to try and alleviate some of that suffering that's happening out there in silence, or at the very least, give you a new perspective, or at least start the conversation. So if you're down with that shit, if you're down with that message, you'll probably enjoy this podcast. If you're not down with that message, you probably won't like this, and you should go and listen to some other shit. So today's episode is going to be pretty quick. It's going to be one of those short ones. And the only reason I'm kind of recording this right now is because of a post that I recently shared to my story on Instagram. So if you're following me there, you'll probably see this. If you're not following me there, you can go and look me up. It'll be at the bottom of the screen here, my Instagram, if you're watching the video version of this, or if you're listening to the podcast version, it'll be below in the show notes. So you can go and check that out there. But I reposted this thing on my story today. I thought it was worth talking about, and so hopefully you guys kind of gain some perspective with this as well. But basically the post, I'm going to read it here for you right now. It says, just a tip, never be embarrassed to struggle. There's absolutely no shame in working hard to get where you want to be. And I read this and I was like, well, yeah. And then I realized why other people might need to hear this message. And so I kind of shared this and I put my own little blurb under it as well. So if you want to read that, I would suggest going and checking out my story. It probably is gone by now. But I don't know, I'll probably post some more things like this as well, so you can go and check that out. But basically, I said something along the lines of, you know, it's actually more shameful not to be working hard to get where you want to be. You know, I think that it is literally an indication of the world's biggest ego if you're worried about having someone else see you struggle at something because you enjoy to do it. You know, think about how many times that, you know, maybe you felt like this in the past, and I've felt like this in the past as well. I guess I could start off by telling a personal story. You know, when I was in high school, I picked up playing the guitar. I really enjoyed playing the guitar. But I never really wanted to play in front of my other friends because I was worried that they would see me not do well at something that I was brand new at. And so this actually hindered a lot of my, you know, love for music because I was so ashamed of having someone see me struggle at something that I enjoy doing or that I was passionate about because I was scared that someone would see me and think that I was bad at that thing. You know, and when I was speaking to somebody about this, they were saying that they were actually scared of their own judgment, that they might judge themselves for being bad at something that they're brand new at. And I just wanted to kind of give my own little like kind of 2 cents on this because now looking back, I realized that, you know, it really was my ego that was kind of hindering my guitar playing or that habit of even, you know, playing guitar. I was so worried because I was embarrassed to struggle, just like this post is saying. And I kind of realized that it truly is just our egos holding us back at that point because, like, what are we really talking about? The fear of not being good at something that you haven't done before? It's so obvious that when we find something new that we aren't good at yet, that we're not going to be good at it. So I'm just trying to mentally kind of get through this process because when we explain it in plain words like this, it seems so obvious, yet all of us suffer from this weird kind of notion of like, that we should be just good at things that we like instantly, when realistically we know that that's not true at all. Anything that you're good at right now took practice. And so to be good at anything, we all know, takes practice. And so I just feel like it's so crazy that, it literally is just our personal ego that holds us back from these things. Like, I feel like if you can put your ego aside and realize that, A, no one really gives a fuck if you're good at anything in this world. Like, nobody really cares if you're good or bad at anything that you do. Like, if you want to start lifting weights, you want to start running, or you want to start playing guitar, or you want to start a podcast. Like, I never had anybody, and I still don't have anybody really that reaches out to me to say that my podcast sucks, even though that, there's a lot of aspects of my podcast that probably could be cleaned up. But at the end of the day, I think that anybody that listens to this understands that I enjoy doing this. I enjoy, believe it or not, literally just sitting here and talking to my phone and then going through the footage later and putting it out for you guys. I thoroughly enjoy this. And so for me, I could sit back and think, while my ego could tell me, all these people are going to be judging you. Maybe your podcast isn't good enough. Maybe the things that you're saying aren't good enough. Maybe even the topic that I'm speaking about right now, there's people that think that maybe this is not good enough. And I'm even going through this right now. I'm thinking, is this topic really good enough? But it's something that I enjoy to do. And I truly do think that there is value in doing this. And so for me, that, I guess, that fear of judgment or the fear of failure or feeling that, someone might see me struggle at making this podcast, those risks are outweighed by what I consider to be benefits. I consider that, talking to myself and running through all these ideas over and over again in my head and then actually formulating an opinion solid enough to film is a really good way that I kind of deal with conflicts in my brain when I'm kind of going through these debates or arguments within my own brain. I feel like recording these things is a constructive way to deal with those. So the benefits that and not even to mention that there's a lot of people out there that have reached out that said that they've gained new perspectives or new ways of thinking through listening to my podcast. And so for me, when I weigh all of the pros and I weigh them against the cons, I feel like there's way more pros than cons in this exchange. And so looking at it like that, it makes it a lot more easy to kind of understand why I would go through with, having people see me struggle at something. And so I think that plays a huge role in it. I think that a lot of the times we fail to kind of sit down and look at what we want to do, right? Pick any hobby whatsoever, whether you want to start a new career, maybe you want to be a carpenter, maybe you want to be an electrician, maybe you want to be a plumber, or maybe you want to pick up a new hobby. Maybe you want to pick up a martial art or a new sport, whatever it could be, literally anything. Even if you were to think of like starting to play ultimate frisbee, you have to outweigh the pros and the cons. And so what are the things that you're afraid of, the cons? Well, you're afraid that people might think that you're bad at it. You might think that people might feel like you're a bad teammate, whatever it could be. But then you have to think about the benefits, the pros. And so you're maybe going to learn how to deal with conflict resolution within a team. Maybe you're going to learn how to be a better teammate. Maybe you're going to gain a new community that cares about you. The list goes on. You're going to get athletic benefits of just moving more often. And so you have to kind of outweigh the pros and the cons. But I feel like a lot of the times when we're starting something that's brand new, like our egos or, our subconscious, at the end of the day, it's us. Truly, it is us individually. Like, we kind of focus mainly on the downfalls or the cons of starting a new behavior or a new habit. Yet we kind of overlook or skim through, or we don't really consider the benefits to starting something brand new. And if we do, even if we do consider the benefits to starting something brand new, a lot of the times the emotional attachment to the bad things is a lot stronger than the emotional attachment to the benefits or the pros to starting something that might be a little bit uncomfortable. And so, if nothing else, when you're listening to this episode, I know, like I said, it's going to be a short one because I feel like that kind of summarizes it perfectly. But I think that when we are kind of, considering starting something new, or even anytime we have a notion like, fuck, I wish I could do this. I think a lot of the times these things are readily available for us to start doing, but we kind of start to think of all the ways that we couldn't do it or all the things that we're afraid of people judging us for. And I think that it's a lot more beneficial for us to take a full inventory of the pros, the cons, the things that people might judge us for, and realize that people are going to judge us no matter what. So fuck them. And that's pretty much where I'm going to end it. I hope that this kind of gave you guys a new perspective, a new insight into the way that I think about these struggles, these problems. And I hope that this kind of helped you out or motivated you to start that new thing that you've been thinking about doing, that you've been a little bit fearful of, that people might judge you for, not being good enough at that thing to do it on a regular basis. And so that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this, if it gave you new perspective, taught you something, entertained you, or anything positive, share the show and help me grow. But other than that, that's all I got. So thank you so much. Like I said, it's a short episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Much love and peace out, motherfuckers.